What's up, everyone? I'm Kendrick. This is episode 4, Spro and Go. So let's jump into the coffee. This week, I'm continuing to brew with the Ethiopia Nano Chala. It is provided by Civil Coffee from Los Angeles, California. And I have the link in the bio on where you could find that coffee and purchase it online. Super delicious. This week I did another pour over. This time I'm using the Chemex. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I love about the Chemex, what I don't really like about the Chemex, but first let's get into the recipe. So I used 50 grams of coffee. My final weighted output was 700 grams, and the brew time was 5 minutes and 10 seconds. For the notes, a lot of black tea coming through on this, and nice like peach notes and lime zest. So it's really tasty, super clean. But let's get into the criteria of a Chemex, why it is great, and what can be improved on, what I wish could be brought out more in the coffee with the Chemex. But let's first talk about the good things. So what I love about it is, one, the vessel is beautiful. It's all like blown glass, and it looks like a flower pot, like a vase. super well manufactured, and it's big enough to brew multiple cups of coffee. So I did another video before using the V60, and realistically, like, you only have enough coffee for like one person, unless you don't want to really consume that much caffeine. You can like go splitsies with another person, but with that much coffee, like, you're not gonna really feel like, it doesn't feel substantial. So the Chemex, it provides that like substantial amount of coffee, which I really like. What else do I like about it? I like, for certain coffees, it produces a really clean cup of coffee. So with the Chemex, the specific paper filter that is used is really thick. And what happens with the Chemex is that that thick paper will capture a lot of the coffee oils. Now, the coffee oils provide a lot of body, but it also brings along some volatile like flavor compounds. So by filtering that out, you get a really clean cup of coffee. But with the mouthfeel, it can be a little bit like not watery, but definitely it doesn't have that like that sticky heaviness like on your palate. So it can feel a little bit watery, but it definitely doesn't taste like diluted coffee. The brewing technique is going to be different than like a V60 or a Kalita. Because of that thicker filter, you have to be really careful with how you agitate the coffee, because I believe it's called like the Brazil nut effect, where if you have like a container full of mixed nuts, if you shake that carton or the actual like container full of nuts, the bigger Brazil nuts would stay to the top, and the smaller, more delicious nuts like the almonds and the peanuts and the pistachios will all sink to the bottom. So it almost seems like all you're getting are Brazil nuts. If you like Brazil nuts, gross. No one likes Brazil nuts, and that's why they throw them in there. And that can happen with your Chemex, where if you agitate too much, those finer particles will sink to the bottom and potentially clog up your brew. So what should take about 5 minutes for a brew could take like 8 minutes. It could take even longer if you really agitate too much and you sink those fines to the bottom. All the bigger grinds will stay at the top. So it really is a good like test on technique, and for me, I love that. I love like that you have to like think about it. I get it. Sometimes in the morning you don't want to really think about your cup of coffee. You don't want to put in that much effort, so it can be a little bit tedious, but at the same time, like, I love the artistry of it. Now let's talk about the things that I don't really like about a Chemex. And it kind of goes like side by side with one of the pros. It's that thick filter. Because it will filter out a lot of those coffee oils, you can oftentimes like lose some complexity in that cup of coffee, and you also lose out some of that body. You know, you get a lighter mouthfeel, and part of like enjoying a really great cup of coffee is like having one, balance of flavor, but two, like you want a little bit of richness in that cup. You don't want it to really feel like it's a little bit watered out. So that's like one thing, and that is specifically with the paper filter. Another thing that I don't really like about the Chemex is, so whenever you do a pour over, I pre-wet that filter, and the purpose for that is to wash out that paper filter, that papery taste. If you don't rinse it with hot water and you just went and you just straight up brewed your coffee, it could leave a lingering like papery taste. And as a kid in elementary school, I was that weirdo that would be bored in class and I would just eat paper. So I'm very familiar with that flavor, and that's what can happen if you don't rinse out your paper filter when you do a pour over. Now, with that, because the Chemex is all one vessel, in order to dump out that rinse water, you have to pull out that paper filter, dump it, and then rearrange your filter. I just hate that extra step, especially if you are making your coffee in the morning and you're a little bit groggy. It's like, that's one thing I don't really like and I don't want to like participate in. So like a V60 or a Kalita Wave, the actual like brewing vessel is separate from where the coffee will drip into. So again, because the Chemex is all one piece, that's what you have to do, and it's a total bummer. So let's get into the run. On this day, I had to take my car in to the shop just for some basic maintenance, and since it was my day off, I decided to just run back from the shop. And what this meant was I had to wear a shirt and I had to wear my glasses, and I had to run back home with those items. So let's get into the stats of it. The run was 3.69 miles. I did it at a 7:01 pace, and my total run time was 25 minutes 58 seconds. As you've probably seen in previous videos, like, I don't run with a shirt on. One is because I sweat a lot, and all the shirts that I wear whenever I run just get saturated and it clings to my body, and I hate that feeling. It gets really heavy, gets super uncomfortable, and for me, because running isn't like my most favorite activity, anything that I can do to make it a little bit more enjoyable, like, I want to do that. So running with a shirt, total bummer. Plus extra laundry that I have to do, and I don't want my stinky ass shirt like sitting in my laundry hamper like for a few days, making my room smell disgusting. So that's like a big reason why I don't run with a shirt on. And running with glasses, as you can see, I do wear glasses they are prescription. But when I run, like my vision isn't bad enough where I need them to do physical activities. So because these glasses aren't like super like tight, like good running sunglasses, they bounce a lot. And I don't really get motion sickness that easily, but during this run, like I started to feel like a little bit wonky, like a little bit disoriented because my glasses kept on bouncing, and that made it pretty tough also. So those are the reasons why I go shirtless and I don't run with glasses on the normal, but I had to do it this time because I couldn't go to the Toyota dealership and go in without like a shirt and drive without my glasses. So that's what happened. For my second run, I was able to run with my family, and you know, it's always fun and enjoyable. Let's jump into the stats for that run. We did 4.63 miles, 9:34 pace, and 44 minutes, 22 seconds of run time. And again, I love running with my family. It's one way that we are able to spend time together, and we are able to stay fit together in that way. And I especially really love running with Tony, mainly because like I've grown up with dogs, and the dogs that I've had before, like I never took them out for any like runs, and like I kind of regret that. So with Tony, since he loves it so much, it's a really awesome way for us to spend time together, to just enjoy being out, like outside of the house together. So it's great. But just like how we're talking about like the Chemex with the pros and the cons, there are some cons running with a dog. And some of it is you just have to be prepared to stop running. So there's a lot of like patches of grass on our route, so he likes to sniff around a lot. Sometimes it's to like do his pee and poo. Other times it's just to sniff around, and it gets a little bit frustrating when you have things to do. Like if I have to like get home and cook dinner, having him just like stop can be frustrating. Especially during like the warmer times, one of his favorite things to do is to just like go on the grass and just roll around. And he loves that feeling of the grass, which is weird because it reminds me of like as a kid, like rolling down like hills of like with grass and then just feeling super itchy afterwards. And I'm sure that happens to him because he gets like these like little red spots on his belly whenever he rubs his belly all over the grass. So again, one of the tough parts, he just likes to stop a lot. When it's hot, it's hard to take him out for runs because he will overheat. And it's like this really fine line, you know, if it's like 70 degrees, he can run like 4 miles without stopping, and it's great. But if it hits like 72 degrees or 73 degrees, then he needs to take those breaks. So like the weather can play a factor into our runs. Another thing is you always have to be prepared to pick up poo. And if you're the type of dog owner that will take their dog out and your dog poos on the grass, and if you don't pick it up, that's a scumbag move. And like, you shouldn't do that. Bring a bag with you. And sometimes there's not a trash can that's like in close proximity, so you might have to run. Oftentimes, like I have to run like probably like a mile with a bag of poo before I can throw it away. So that's kind of a bummer. But the reality of it is it's worth it, you know? Like, I love spending time with my dog. He loves spending time with me. We both enjoy like being outdoors together. And it's it's always like great that we can like do an activity that also is beneficial for both of our health and fitness. So to me, all the waiting, all the rolling around the grass, all the catching of poo, it's worth it. So that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching the video. If you like this content, please subscribe. Please hit that like button. And in the comments, let me know, running with the shirt on. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Thanks for watching.